Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis Isik. I am the U.S. sales leader for the insurance vertical here at Newgen. I'm delighted to welcome you to this webinar, and I have the privilege of moderating today's discussion. We are here to delve into a topic that's incredibly relevant in today's fast-paced world. InsurONE. What is InsurONE? Is navigating complex insurance policies with AI-driven smart solutions for commercial and specialty insurers. So InsurONE is an exciting collaboration between two industry veterans, Zensar and Newgen, well over 30 years in the marketplace. And we just recently announced a joint solution during December 2023 on how to bring cost optimization to insurers through the digital transformation. And as a next step, we are bringing a specific solution leveraging AI to simplify and enhance the management of complex insurance policies. Our esteemed speakers, I'll let them introduce themselves. Ravi, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dennis. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks, depending on where you are. This is Ravi Thakur. I head the insurance practice for Zensar. Very happy to be here. Very happy to be talking to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Ravi, for making time. Really appreciate it. Rana,
Hi, everybody. My name is Rana Ganguli. I head up the insurance business unit for Newgen.
fantastic. Thanks, Rana and Ravi, for making it today. So today we're going to shed some light on significant challenges faced by commercial and specialty insurers and how our joint AI-driven solutions can address these challenges effectively. So what makes this topic even more intriguing is that InsurONE combines the expertise of two industry leaders to deliver a transformative impact on the insurance sector. Today, we'll explore the tangible benefits of this partnership and how it can revolutionize your insurance organization. So get ready for an engaging conversation that promises to uncover the future of AI in insurance. So without further ado, let's dive into the heart of the matter with our distinguished speakers, Ravi and Rana, who will guide us through this insightful journey. So, gentlemen, the first question today is based around the challenges and trends in policy management. So I'm going to direct this towards Ravi first to address. So it's a two-part question here, Ravi. So the first question is, in the realm of commercial and specialty insurance, what are the biggest hurdles insurers face when it comes to document generation and customer communication? That's number one. Number two is, how do these challenges impact their day-to-day operations? And what are the barriers preventing effective automation?
So, Dennis, thanks for the question. Right, as all of us know, insurance is it's an old and a complex industry. You have multiple segments within insurance. You have property and casualty, which has its own nuances. You have life and annuity, reinsurance, and brokerage. In that large kind of insurance ecosystem, if you look at zoom into the commercial and specialty lines, uh, it's it's fairly complex, right? Because these are typically multi-line policies that have varying coverages, exclusions. They have complicated forms that go across from brokers and customers to underwriters and various things. There are service conditions and instructions. There's policy wording and clauses that are complex. So it's a complex document oriented world in itself, right? And if you look at from the customer's point of view, when I talk to carriers, they have a few kind of pressing problems in this area. The first is the underwriting skill set is fairly, limited, and it's very, it's a highly sought after expertise. So they want to make underwriters more effective and efficient. And to that end, what they want to see is how do they prioritize things getting to the underwriters? How do they make sure that the underwriter's life is easier? And in that kind of backdrop, if you now superpose the industry construct, which is complex documentation, manual documentation, things written in Word, various specific endorsement for various companies, it makes for a fairly involved problem, if you will, right? And the second part that you talked about, automation predominantly, there are multiple levers why there are kind of barriers to automation. First is, of course, the insurance ecosystem. You have a lot of legacy carriers with technologies, with multiple technologies supporting them. And the second is, the compliance requirements that are there, right? So it's very difficult to automate. And third is because of the unique specific document requirements, it's difficult to build in an automation because your problem statement itself is changing. So again, those are kind of the things that we have seen in the industry, and those are the problems we are trying to solve.
Excellent. Great response. Rana?
Yeah, thanks, Ravi, for that preamble. Yeah, I would echo what you're saying, and essentially, our solution, a smart policy solution, allows for both smart customization and I would say smart standardization of the processes for managing policies, clauses, and in the realm of creating, maintaining, and archiving policies and clauses. So there are three key capability pillars that we offer. The first one is in and around dynamic clause creation and maintenance. So this is a rules-based engine with externalized rules, which allows you to create clauses and maintain clauses at will, and the ability to do so. Uh, to archive it also it starts to develop this notion of making sure that there's repeatability and scalability in what you've created in the past. The second pillar that we offer in terms of capabilities is a standardized method of creating templates and maintaining templates. So this involves creating multiple template structures, taking into account different types of products, the product complexity, endorsements that need to be made, etc. And also the integration that we offer with seamless integration that we offer with other enterprise and desktop applications that the underwriter might be using. And then the last one I think you touched on, which is key, is to infuse AI in this overall process. And this is both from a perspective of inference and from the perspective of generating contracts. The ability to do all these three and orchestrate above the legacy estate or even the modern plus the legacy estate for a carrier is quite powerful. So I think those are the sort of the key capabilities that sort of drives the drivers of value for the business and the function.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Ron. I really appreciate it. All right. We're going to move on to question number 2, and this is in the realms of partner and joint solutions, right? InsurONE. As we know, InsurONE is a joint collaboration between Newgen and Zensar. Can you tell us about the InsurONE Initiative and the unique value brought to Zensar and the Newgen partnership? Ravi, I think you should start with this one because, as you know, Newgen's the platform and Zensar is the brain trust, and together we're bringing together a solution to the marketplace. And let's talk about how this is going to change the marketplace and what this platform provides for our customers.
Absolutely. So look, as we described earlier, with the landscape that we have, there is a need in the marketplace, right? So there's a need in the marketplace for a solution that can achieve cost reduction, that can provide digitization, that can let underwriters and the product owners and the other stakeholders in this commercial and specialty carrier to do more, right? And when we looked at the problem, we have a lot of experience in domain, right? So we have tools that we have built. Like we have a tool that looks at the commonly used patterns and finds out what the forms and documents that needs to be automated. So you have our domain expertise in one hand, and then we are looking at what are the tools in the marketplace, and there are multiple tools that you can find for document production, customer communication, storage, BPM. But we wanted to get to a tool that kind of gets everything together, and that's what we found in Newgen. So the InsurONE initiative is our attempt for the marketplace to bring in the best of the domain capabilities that we have here inherent in Zensar and all, based on all the work we have done for our customers, and take the best that Newgen has to offer and combine it together, so that you offer it to carriers and try to, reduce their, the turnaround time for quotes. They can quote faster. You can make sure that you're not making the manual mistakes that you do, when you're kind of typing it. There are things that I've heard stories and anecdotes of losses happening, or, some things not being done because the documentation was done manually, right? And finally, overall, to improve the quality. So I think that's what the InsurONE initiative is for us and for the marketplace.
Awesome. Rana?
Yeah. Thanks, Ravi. I think diving a little bit deeper in sort of the componentry of the joint solution, and certainly the Newgen One's enablement of the solution. So there really are four core solutions that are fully deployable and also integrate with one another. The first one is content management and servicing. So this is archival, annotation, being able to create longitudinal views of content, being able to uh, essentially be able pull the content up at will at the time of need, etc. The second solution is the low-code business process automation. So this is automating the workflow and creating an orchestration layer that sits that kind of knits together the workflow across different platforms and across different estates. The third piece is communications management, which is the ability to create and deploy communication at the point of need and to a variety of stakeholders. And then lastly, I talked earlier about AI. So all of this being infused with AI. I think the value you touched on, Ravi, is quite important to highlight. The offering actually deploys value across all the business vectors. So efficiency, accuracy, timeliness, stakeholder engagement and satisfaction, certainly maximizing the moments of truth for the customer, and then lastly and most importantly, compliance. So it's sort of a holistic deployment which addresses the key metrics that folks are worried about.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Rana. Appreciate that. Okay, question 3. As we are discussing today about one of solutions under InsurONE, how this joint solution specifically can tackle the complexities that share in early questions for commercial specialty insurers. So, Rana, do you want to address that?
I think on this one, we were going to sort of pass it on to maybe Ravi. Sorry to pass this on to you.
Ravi
I think we were going to talk through a particular case study to bring it to life.
Yep.
So maybe if you could touch on a joint case study, and then I can sort of elaborate on some of the key benefits that were deployed for the case.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rana, for that. So look, like we talked about, right? We talked about in the last two questions, what's the backdrop of the industry? What's the need? Then we talked about what's the solution. Now, to go to this to answer this question, so how does it translate to what we have seen at our customer, right? How does it translate it in the marketplace? So, we have a client which is a specialty insurance and a global presence, and they have products around trade credit, aviation, liability, casualty. And like any other specialty carrier, which is large and geographically spread, they had varying practices. They had, underwriters who did things differently across regions. They had multiple platforms, and they were generating these documents, these underwriting documents manually. They were uploading them manually to archival, and the customer wanted to move to obviously an agile system and do more and get more effective use of the underwriting time. And so for this customer, we implemented a system that converted there were about 6,000 plus static templates. They converted to 300 plus rules-driven templates. The automation was done for document generation and then obviously delivery through email. And all of this was done while being more compliant. So we kind of haven't focused as much on compliance, but that's again an angle which is very important, and to address it as a part of a solution proactively than to reactively work on compliance. I think those were kind of some of the main kind of things that I can talk about. And Rana, I'll pass it back if you want to add further details or embellish this solution or the case study.
Yeah, I think some of the feedback that we got from the client was that it's this whole notion of a single pane of glass, which was very valuable to them. They had a unified pane of glass which connected to all the systems, surround systems that they worked with, like BizTalk and others. The fact that folks were able to access documents and essentially deal with the requirements of the workflow in real time was quite critical for them. And then ultimately, the idea was, it's really not a cost takeout story. Essentially, it's eliminating the non-core activities for the folks and to guide them to do more productive work, which is really focused on the core of underwriting. So those were sort of the key benefits of the deployment. And we are very excited to actually scale this solution to other customers, some of our other customers as well.
Excellent. Awesome. Thanks for that. So we're on to question number 4, and I think this is the biggest buzz term in the industry right now, Gen AI, right? So what transformative efforts does moving from a manual to digital process have on policy creation for insurers, right? And then how does AI, specifically Gen AI, enhance this transition? And what future advancements do you foresee in policy creation through these technologies? Ravi, I'll let you start with this one.
Sure, thanks, Deniz. Look, there is hardly anyone who has not heard the term Gen AI, right? It's been mainstream. It's been in vernacular for even teenagers and for kids. Um, but I bring it back to a few things that we have talked about. The first thing that we had talked about was what is the difficulty in automation, and that's where we talked about this moving target where we have these numerous documents being generated, which are demanded by either the broker or the customer, and then there are annotations happening, there are changes, there are service requests happening. So I think Gen AI and AI in particular, I think there is a difference between the two, right? Which obviously AI is all about the larger umbrella, and Gen AI is more focused about summarizing, generating content. I think both of them have a play in terms of what they're doing now. Also, whatever we talk here, we have to take it with a grain of salt, and the reason for that being this is a field that is still developing, right? And if you think of Gen AI in itself, for the moment, because that's kind of what you asked, is it will help in generating a number of documents that you have. So you're not creating from scratch. You have these documents that can be generated. But the other part of the Gen AI is all about summarizing documents. So you can look at a future where you have a large language model which has the regulations, the filings. You have almost like in the data parlance, we talk of a data lake, right? But you have this ecosystem or a large language model where you have all of this there. And then document generation would become really easy, right? Because it will just depend on the right prompt to be given with policy attributes and things like that. So I think that is the that's the power of Gen AI. And AI in itself can also help you in terms of the automation that you're doing, right? So you take AI and Gen AI and move that together. Now, in terms of our solution and how it's relevant here is, we are doing a number of, like, all of our customers are doing a POC. We from our company are doing a number of programs. But I'm also seeing the product vendor, maybe Rana, you can talk to this, right? Is how are they infusing AI and Gen AI into the solution? And if that comes kind of as it matures and comes out of the box, that's the world I'm looking towards.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think Gen AI is being used pervasively today, and AI, it's sort of being casually used. But I think to be quite precise about what folks are doing, what clients are doing, it's on a continuum. So the world has moved from prescriptive, predictive, to what we are calling Gen AI today. But even within Gen AI, I think you rightly pointed, there's inference, there's generation. But where the world will ultimately move to, I believe, is causal AI, which is to be able to get rid of the hallucinations, to be able to infer and generate, but ultimately get to causal AI, where you can start to look at claims and why a claim is filed, what aspects or what componentry of the policy is being hit by the claim, and there you start to knit together cross-functional elements, the requirements of what's happening upstream to have relevance in what's happening downstream. But I think what's happening today across clients that we see, they're experimenting with AI, but ultimately want to see it embedded in driving business value and to address all the elements of the combined ratio. So not just focused on the value components of the combined ratio, but also growth. So I think the world is going to a place, and I hope soon, where we'll be able to look at this as a in total value of what AI can truly deliver cross-functionally in the front, middle, and back office for a carrier.
Awesome. Great. Thanks for that, Rana and Ravi. So we're on to question number 6, right? So we're talking about future possibilities, right? So looking forward, how Zensar and Newgen scripted their roles in these tales of innovation that helps the insurers be more efficient and to be more effective, right? So how are we changing that? What are we doing for the future, Ravi?
Yeah, in some way the future is already here, right? We talked of Gen AI, we talked of AI. Like I said, it's an evolving field, and I think we are beginning to reap the early rewards of it, and I see that just getting more and more expedited from a tech transformation point of view, from the capabilities that will be at our fingertips. But then, the question is, where does it take, right? So we are looking to a future where, the underwriters don't have to perform mundane documents and form related manual tasks. Where brokers and customers don't have to wait for days or weeks for policies to be issued, right? That's the mistakes of manual entry. Hopefully, that's of the future. From an overall customer perspective, I think Rana talked about management of combined ratio. It's also about how do we enable them to sell more, to do more underwriting, help our customers, grow their top line, and for these programs per se, right, which is what fuels this transformation. uh, how do we enhance the ROI that the customers are getting? How do we make sure compliance, like I talked about earlier, is early in the process and baked in the process and not an afterthought, right? And at the end, it all boils down to the customer and broker satisfaction. So that's kind of the future I'm looking at. And I think, if you look at what we do here at Zensar with our, we go to market with our continuum on experience, engineering, and engagement. It's called the EEE for short, because we all love the acronyms, right? And that's where I see the customer experience and the broker experience enhancing. I'm looking for a solution that's engineered with AI and Gen AI as the chassis, where you can do the data and analytics. And then you're looking at the whole engagement part, which is to make sure that the end customers are engaging with our customers. So I think that's for me, that's where the future is.
Yeah, I'll build on that, Ravi. Echo all the things you're saying. Business value being critical, a demonstration of elements of the combined ratio we talked about. Um, we think we have a very strong joint solution and proposition. I think ultimately, with AI, a lot of the data workflow burden that folks face is going to go away, and the ability then for carriers to really get into adjacencies and breakout products, which is and create future journeys for how customers can actually buy insurance, and then carriers can then process and service insurance, is going to change. So things like embedded insurance and edge insurance. So it's these things that we're doing now will enable carriers to do more in the future, both from a product perspective as well as an administration and servicing perspective. But so with the foundation that we're laying, I think that's where the world is going, and we're happy to be a part of that journey.
Excellent. Thanks for that. So that's it for our questions that we have today, but I want to open it up to the people who are on the webinar. If they have any questions, please feel free to submit your questions on the side, and we'll be happy to answer those live. And to the ones that we don't get to, we'll be able to respond to them and send them back to you via email. So if there's any questions, please feel free to put them in the comment section, and then we'll be able to address those. So while we're waiting for that, we have one question that came in. Who are the personas who will be directly impacted by the solution, and how will their lives change? Rana, do you want to be able to address that?
Yeah, sure. I think at the highest level, the personas. So let's pick it up from who would be the key decision maker to make operational changes through our solution. Certainly, the chief underwriting officer, I think product distribution, head of distribution. So those are the functional leaders. This solution has a direct impact on the economics of a carrier. So the CFO would be involved in the decisioning on a day-to-day basis. Since we are actually working, we're sort of embedded in the operations. It'll be the various levels of underwriters who have different levels of risk authority. They could be branch underwriters. They could be complex risk underwriters who sit in a centralized location. They could also potentially be producers who do underwriting in the agency, but then there's an extended enterprise proposition there where the carrier actually extends the technology to the channel. So those would be some of the personas that would be affected by this particular solution and would frankly benefit from it.
Awesome.
And certainly, not as to say the least, that's on the business side, but also significantly on the IT side. Folks would, because we will be orchestrating above the complexity of the underlying estate. Certainly, the IT folks would have a role to play here as well. Ravi?
I think Rana pretty thoroughly summed it up. But I look at it from same. So if I was to just summarize Rana, from a tactical perspective, I see the underwriters, the actuaries, the product people. Their life becomes much simpler, right? From a strategic and an impact perspective, it's the broker, the customer service, the salespeople. I think they'll see a lot of boost happening. And finally, like you said, there are two other groups I would call out. One is the IT infrastructure, because it makes it less complex. We already talked about a case study where we are moving from multiple platforms to a single platform. So simplification. and which means lesser of integration, less cost, and all the good stuff that follows it. And lastly, the compliance department, you'll have more of automation and less of manual things, which means less mistakes, more compliance kind of baked in the solution. So I think that's how I see the world.
Excellent. Thanks for your response, gentlemen. I do not see any more questions. So to summarize everything, as we come to the end of this informative webinar on Insurance One, I'd like to express my gratitude to our distinguished speakers, Ravi from Zensar and Rana from Newgen. Thanks, gentlemen. You guys did a fantastic job today. The fusion of Zensar and Newgen's capabilities have paved the way for a transformative approach to managing complex insurance policies, and our speakers have provided us with a glimpse into the exciting journey. Right? I hope that you, our audience, have found this discussion as informative and captivating as I have. The challenges and opportunities within the insurance sector are vast. It's clear that collaboration like the one between Zensar and Newgen are at the forefront of driving meaningful change within insurance. Before we conclude, I encourage all of you to explore further, ask questions, and consider how AI-driven solutions like InsurONE can help your organizations. Our speakers and their teams are here to support you on this journey. So thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to future conversations that continue to shape the ever-evolving landscape of insurance. Have a wonderful day. Thank you again for attending.
Thanks, Dennis. Thank you,
Thanks,
Ravi.
Dennis.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Cheers.
Take care.
Bye-bye.